What's the response you're getting?
Mark what?
Hello?
The button, the button.
The button. Okay, it's disabled. Can you
Yeah.
send me the zip file of your assignments real quick? And also share a screenshot of
Using Slack.
like the error you're getting or how the yeah, on Slack, yes. DM me the information.
Okay, let me share you my screenshot.
The screenshot and also your assignment too.
Okay, okay.
All right. All right. Good evening, everyone. Hope we all had a great day. And I also believe that by now we have all submitted our assignments. Okay. So in our last class, we talked about conditional statements. We talked about functions, DOM, that's the document object model, and how to manipulate the DOM. And then we had a brief discussion about events. And I told us that today we are going to be talking extensively on that topic. So yes, and today marks the 5th week since this program has started. And if you have been here from day one, kudos to you. Yeah, kudos. Well done. If you give me a minute, I will share my screen. All right, so let me know if you can see my screen. Okay. All right, so again, in our last class, we talked about conditional statements using if, else if, and also the else statement, right? And because of that, we introduced the operand, the and the or operands or operators, right? And when to use them. And we also talked about the other conditional statement, the other way to write the conditional statement, which is the switch case. Okay, so we did functions also, creating a function, writing our logic inside the function block, and also invoking the function. So this is more like you calling it outside after you've written the function. It's more like you're calling the function to execute it or you're invoking it. So you can still use the terminology invoke when you are referencing the function again after you have defined it. So we also got to talk about the DOM, document object model, how to get elements. And we use this example by ID and by class name. And we also try to change the information inside an element also. And we saw that in action. And then we did a little topic about events. So, okay. All right, this is our, yeah, coming events earlier. All right, so yes. All right, so let's get started. Today, first thing is just to make reference to events, right? Just finish up the concepts that we need to know regarding how to use events, JavaScript events. And if you remember in the last class, I told us that events Uh, HTML events are things that happen to a particular element or HTML elements, right? Like anything that happens to that element, we regard it as an event. And we saw all the events that we have, right? We have a lot of events. We saw the on click events. Let me just type on. And I told us that in the HTML attributes, most of the events, if not all, starts with on, right? So any attribute that is see with on, then it means that particular attribute is an event. We have on bot, on blur, on can play. We have on click, which is what we are going to be using majorly. We have on change. We have on drag. There's just a lot of events, right? This key down and key press. The key down and key up is when you the arrow keys, right? The arrow keys up and down. That's the key down and key up and key down, respectively. We have the on mouse down, on mouse enter. On mouse enter is when the mouse enters a particular element. On mouse leave is when the mouse leaves the element. It's more like hover, what hover does in CSS. But in JavaScript, it is like separated into the entrance and then the exit. So yes, but for us to start events, I want to like events. I'll be using events mostly in the forms, right? But I want to like take this particular information out. So from this place, from this part down is our contact, right? If you remember, is our contact. So when we click on contacts, we expect it to take us to this section. But then for some, I want to take this contact out. I want to like have a clear web page to work with, right? So let me just create another HTML file. Close my JavaScript here. Another HTML file. I can say contacts.html. All right. So in my contact.html, I'm going to have my, my boilerplate. I believe we still remember why we have this meta tag here. It's going to help for responsiveness. We talked about it when we are doing responsiveness. So the title should be contact, just contact. All right, so I will move all this form here. I'll just bring them. Where's my contact again? Okay. So let me take it out from. I'll still leave it here though. Let me just take it out from here. Okay, so yeah, we'll not have contact again. So for us to access this contact, right, we can, like, I want in a situation where when I click on this contact, it should take me to that contact page, right? Because now we have contacts.html as a separate HTML file. So I want to be able to connect it from this first one, right? So instead of hash contact on the href, I believe we remember why we use hash contact, because we are referencing the ID in that same page, right? So for you to navigate to a particular section on the same page, just give that section an ID, or that div an ID, or that element, anything at all, give it an ID, then create a href tag, then hash name of the ID. Once you click on it, it's going to take you to that section. But for this case, we don't have contact again in the section, right? So we have it on our screen. You just have to write the name of that screen. When I say screen, I mean the HTML file I want to reference to. So I want in a situation whenever I click on contact, it should take me to contact.html. That's this guy. So coming back, if I click on contact, you can see it takes me to contact.html. And when you check on the navigation, you can see that it has changed to /contact.html. I'm not sure we talked about this. I talked about this when I was when I was discussing about the anchor tag. But remember when we did that social media, right? When you add LinkedIn and then Twitter and every other thing, click on it, then it takes you to that page. So you can do similar thing, but then you are just going to reference them with that file. With this, you can create a just one page, a web page that have multiple pages. Probably it has blog page, you have about page, you have your media page, probably your media, yeah, pictures and every other thing, right? So with that, if you want to have different pages, you can just create multiple HTML file for each of them. As we have contacts, I can go ahead and create the about the HTML and then do all my about designs and layouts on that particular HTML file. Then here I will now change it to about.html. So just that, yeah, that's how to like create multiple pages in the same project. So now we are in, this is our contact.html. So I don't need this guy again. So so here, remember, I need to bring back my script. Okay. But this time I don't want to listen to script. I want to listen to events.js. And also the style that's imported here will not work on your contacts. You have to import the style again here again, right? Like each HTML page, you have to import all those things afresh. Okay, so yes, let's import. What if okay, let me group all my styles in one page. Let me group all my styles in one folder. So I want to create another folder. I want to call it CSS. Oh, I think someone raised their hand. Hello, what's up, Judy? You have your hand raised. All right. So in my CSS, I want to have all my styles inside this file. So I can move inside this folder rather. I can move styles.css in this folder. Move. Yep. So for it to still work for our index, remember you have to specify where the style is now. So the style is inside our CSS folder slash. This is for index.html. But then I want to create contacts. So let me create another style.css. I want to call this one contacts.css. All right. So I will now import this contact, the CSS. Yeah. Yeah, but instead of style, it's going to be contacts. Yep, CSS/contact.css. Okay. Now let's see what we have here. All right. So I want to have another form here. A form with ID set to calculator. Okay. So let me just comment out this main form. I will get back to it, like the contact form. All right. So in our calculator, yeah, let me create two inputs. So I want to have label for number one. Okay. Yeah, for number one. Then inputs text ID number one. Then another label for number two. All right, so this is what happened here. I created a form, right? And in my form, I have a label. Remember how we bind label and input together. The for attributes and the ID attributes of the input will have the same value. With that, they are binded together. So I have num1, this is the input for num1, this is the two of them. Then I have label for num2, and this is the input for it. Then I now have a button that says ID add, and I put add inside this button. So when I go back, I'm going to have num1, num2, num1 and num2, right? So what I want to achieve here is I want to enter a number here in my num1, enter another number in my num2, and then when I click on add, it's going to add these two numbers for me, right? And yep. So okay, yeah, what's the next thing? Okay, let me I want to style my inputs, right? I've gotten to the point where I have to style our inputs. Well, I think this is okay, not bad. Right. So, but then I need another div, p tag result. Okay. So I have a p tag. Inside my p tag, I have another span. Okay, let me just show you what I did. First, I have a p tag, right? I wrote result. Then after this, I now have a span. Span with ID result, but there is no content in it, right? So I want in a situation when I'm done putting in my values, I click on add. I want to see the result here. Now, for us to do this, let's come back to events. Okay. Now, what are events? Events, I've said this already. Yeah, they are things that happen to a particular element, right? You can listen to events or things that happen to a particular element. Whenever the user interacts with the element, you can listen to that particular event and then initiate your expression or whatever you want to do with that. Yeah, with that event. So, but for this case, I told us how we can select events, right? Let's say we have, let me remove this entirely. Let's say I have a, let's say my button is equals to document.get elements by ID, then my button. Okay, so where's my contact? Let me remove these guys. Okay, no, this is add. Sorry. Wait, let me just do this outside, then I'll come back to the button. My button. And then the ID says my button, right? So I'll create the elements. I'll give it ID, my button. Now, when I go back, I'm going to see my button, then the result, right? So I want to listen to a click event on my button. And when I click on this button, I want to add something to this result, right? I want to add an information here. So back to my event. I've already selected my button. Remember, the ID is my button, just like I gave it here, ID my button. Now I want to listen to an event. Now for you to listen to an event, there is another method. Since I have done this, I have selected the button, I can now call my button again. I've set my button to that button. I can say my button dot, and for you to listen to events in JavaScript, you use the add event listener method, right? So after writing the button variable name, you put dot, then add event listener. With this events listener have two arguments. If you remember the time we were doing functions, we talked about how to pass arguments in a function, right? You have a function with two arguments. You have functions with one argument. You can have a function with no arguments. You can have functions with hundreds of arguments, just depending on whatever you deem fit, right? And for this add event listener, it's a function with two arguments. So the first argument is the event that you want to listen to. Now remember, I showed us those events from HTML. Now we can also see those events from JavaScript. But the difference is that the one on JavaScript doesn't have the on, that's on as prefix. But from HTML, they all have on as prefix. So in JavaScript, in HTML, instead of on abort, in JavaScript, we just abort, right? So that's how to select. There's just a lot of them, and whatever you're writing must be accepted by this add event listener method. But now I want to listen to click, right? Where's the click again? Yeah, I just want to listen to click. Okay. Now, whenever the user clicks, I want to do another thing. So I'm listening to the click event. That's the first argument. Then the second argument is a function, and you're going to write it as an arrow function. Okay. Now, an arrow function, it can write as a normal function, yeah, but then arrow function is widely recognized when you're writing the second argument for event listeners. Now, this is how to write an arrow function. You open and close a curved braces, then equals to and greater than, right? And then open and close your curved braces again. Sorry, curly braces. Now, what is different between normal functions and arrow functions? I'll do this real quick. Normal functions, right? This is the one we have here. Normal functions, we have you must start it with a function, right? You must start with a function, then the name of that function, right? And then you can open and close your argument space, that's the curly braces, and then you open and close your curly braces. But then for arrow functions, you start, if I want to write this particular function again as an arrow function, I'll just comment out this. Then I'll say constant. Okay, constant. Then you write the name of that function. And the name of the function is subtract, right? Subtract. Then you have equals to, open and close a curved braces, then question mark, and then greater than, then open and close your curly braces. So this is how to represent, or this is how to write this particular normal basic function as an arrow function. So why do people mostly choose this? Is because it is shorter, right? Like, yeah, it looks shorter. When you are writing some expensive function, it looks shorter to write. Just write declare it with a const keyword, the name, then equals to, open and close, then that. I can now do the same thing, exactly the same thing I have here. I can accept two arguments, that's num1 and num2. You can pass your arguments here, num1 and num2. Then inside this block, you now have, what are you returning here? You're doing return num1 minus num2. So if I invoke this function again, which is what is happening here on line 28, it will still work the same. Okay, so yeah, that is arrow function. All right, and you can have arrow functions without a name. Okay, arrow function without a name is just like this, right? Now there's no name to this. Okay, the same thing, you can write a function without a name, right? You can have a function without a name, you just don't have to add the space here. So instead of, if you want to write a function without name, I can say function, no space, then open and close, just like this, right? Yeah, it's going to throw us error because we are writing it outside. I need to write it inside a particular block. So this doesn't have a name, this also doesn't have a name. So that's exactly what we did here. This is a function, an arrow function that doesn't have a name. Okay, Now, where I'm going to write my logic is inside this particular block. That's the curly braces. So here, let me just do a test. Console log my button. This is just a test, right? So now when I come back, inspect, remember how to inspect console. Now, when I click my button, I should see my button here. Exactly. There's my button on the logs. You can see it here. I can change the information here so it won't look like I'm logging out the same thing. Hello class. So when I click on my button, I should see hello class. Click on button, yeah, you can see hello class here. So which means I have successfully, I'm successfully listening to the click events on this button. Now, I now want, whenever I click, it should add something to this result. Now, let me close back the console. So when I click, I want it to add something here. Now I'm back to my contact.html. Where do I want to add that thing? Inside the span, right? Okay, I want to add it inside the span. I want to select a particular element that has the ID result and then put an inner HTML or an inner text. Okay, so for me to do that, remember how to select your DOM. So inside, I can say constants result, or yeah, let me say result because that's the name. Constant result is going to be equals to, remember, document dot get elements by ID, pass result in. That's this guy, ID result. So now I can now say result dot inner HTML equals to hello world. I don't need this log anymore. Now what I'm saying here is whenever I click, get this particular element that has a result, that has the ID of result, and then inside that particular element, set the inner HTML to hello world. And that's this result here. So when I now go back, if I click here, I should see hello world printed out. Now when I click, you can see hello world. All right. If I refresh, it will disappear. Click again, it shows hello world. So yes, that is how to set inner HTML. Now, I told us that you can have, I told us that you can have inner HTML, and then you can also have inner text. There is a difference, right? True, you can pass string. Remember what is a string, right? Text that starts with quote and ends with a quote. Call them strings. You can pass string to both of them, right? But then the HTML one accepts if you write a HTML string, if you write a particular element in a string and pass it to this inner HTML, it is going to listen to it as a string. Now, when yeah, this might be too much. Now, let me just comment out this hello world and say result dot inner HTML. Remember, I passed a string before, right? Now, let me pass a tag inside of it. You're still going to write it as a string. Let's say I want to pass EM. This is actually a tag. EM is a tag. EM is used for writing elements as an italics. I mean, you can write anything you want. I'm just choosing EM. You can write span. You can write p tag. You can write div. You can write h1. Okay, sorry, h1, not hi. You can write em. Okay, em. Open your tag, your em tag. Then write the content. Then close it again. Everything wrapped in a string. Now, when I go back, wait, what just happened? Oh, I have to click. I've forgotten. Yeah, when I go back, if I click, I should see hello world. You see that it is slant, it is italics, right? So that's what you use AM for. You can even write it in your HTML. You can say AM, I am italics. You can see I am italics here. Well, there are other ones actually. There is strong. I am strong. See that the strong is a little bit thick here. Strong is thick. There is other one. There is sub. But since we are here, let's just do two more. Sub. I am sub. Sub means subscript, right? So we just put that particular element under, like C. You can use it to, if you remember logarithm in, if I replace all this thing with 2, it's going to look like 2, but under, right? Just sub. Then as we have sub, we also have sup. That's superscript. SUP. I am superscript. Superscript to just like raise to power. Yeah, to have it at the top. You can also say 2. Let's see. Yeah, you can say 2 is at the top. Oh, change this back to I am superscript. Then this one should be I am subscript. Okay, yeah, we have a lot of elements. I just decided to flash this so we can see that we have other ones that can assume some other form. So that's what I just did here. Okay. Or when I click, it's going to print out hello world in italics. Now, see the difference between inner HTML and inner text. Inner HTML will listen to this particular information as an HTML tag and interpret it, right? But then if I said inner text, inner text will not even understand what is up. It will just print everything out. Now, when I click, you're going to see it prints everything out for me, both the opening tag and the closing tag and everything. So inner text doesn't understand it as an HTML form. But if you want to pass it as an HTML form, you have to say inner HTML. When you click, you just print it out. Now, if I say the soup, or let me say strong, so I want it to be like bold, right? Click, yeah, you can see. All right, so this is how to like use event listeners to do other activities. It must not only always be to change the information of a particular element, right? You can use it to do other complex logics, okay, which is what we are going to jump into. Right, I'm focused on these two numbers, right? So I'll just get back to it. So now, yes, unfortunately, I don't need my button anymore. So I'll just comment it all out. Yeah, I don't need here too. So I'll comment it out. Now, when I get back, yeah, we're back to this. Well, spare me 1 or 2 minutes, 1 to 5 minutes. Let me just tie this thing. Let me just tell it out. And we are all going to witness the transformation. Contact the CSS. We have styles. I'll be fast, but if you cache it display, then I'll try to explain what I'm doing actually. First of all, I'm resetting. We'll remove this family. If you remember, we have to reset the page so that it's going to ignore all the default border padding and margins and all that. So in my form has an ID of calculator. First, let me style the body. Justify, display flex, justify content, center. Sorry. All right. Flex direction, column. Okay. So I'll say align item center. Let's Okay, what is happening here? Oh, yes. So we have my form, background color. Let me say red. Oh, it's taking full weight. That's why. And I'm zooming in. Yeah, exactly. This is what I wanted to see. It's centered in the middle. But because I'm zoomed in, it looks like it isn't. But I'll leave it at this stage so I can achieve what I want. Then I'll zoom in again. But then I don't need center anymore, do I? No, I don't. Okay, bring it back. Then width 100%. Fine. Padding 20 px. Okay, now let me start the form. The form should not have a background color. It should have a border width. The first property is the width. Second property is the style. Then the third property is the color. Yeah, if you remember that. Then I want to add padding of 20 px. Okay, this is good. And what else? Okay, my numbers, I want them to be stacked. I don't want them to be in one line. So I can say, for me to do this, I want to wrap each of them in its own wrapper, right? So this label and input, I want to wrap it in a div. I want the two of them to be together, wrapped. Then this guy too, the same thing, wrapped. So when I come back, yes, I'll have number 1 and number 2. Then my add, that's my button. Let me start my button. Button hash add. We know why I said hash add, right? Selecting a button with the ID of add. Width 100%. Okay, here my button is now 100%. Well, I don't like the fact that they are all together, right? So I can give my form display flex, which will scatter everything, yes. But then flex direction column. Yeah. But why I did this is because I wanted to just introduce this property gap and say 10 px. So I want 10 px gap between each of them. Perfect. Okay, my result should, well, this is my border, my form. I can actually reduce it's too black, right? I can reduce it. Yeah. Well, let me just take it up a little bit. Okay, yeah, I can manage this. Then there is something I'm not sure I talked about. There is another property for styling your borders, and we call it border radius. Okay, so the border radius is responsible for adding a curved edges. If we look at my form, you can see that they all have sharp edges, right? They have 4 edges, 1, 2, 3, 4, and all of them are sharp. So I can use another CSS property to make it curved, and that CSS property is border radius. So when I say border radius of 10 px, when I go back, you can see that it is now curved. All the edges are curved. You can increase it, right, as much as you want, but I think I am okay with this. Okay, then this result, I want it to be, where's my result? Where's that result, boy? Yeah, this is the result. Let me give this, yeah, let me give this an ID, the div, wrapping it an ID of result container. Yeah, so it's an ID. ID is hash, result container. Then I can give it a margin top because I want to give it some space here. Margin top of 10px. Yeah, this is fine. All right, so let me color my button. Button should be background color. Background color should be aquamarine. Aquamarine, what is this? Okay, let me, yeah, I don't like this default border. Nah, I can't work with it. So you know what to do. You introduce your own border. So border 1px, what? 1px solid, and then this color. No, take the same. No, 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 no. If you have any question about what I'm doing, feel free to ask, right? I I don't mind. If you have a question, just ask. Let me give let me give the border the same color actually. Oh no. Wait, how would this even work? If what am I doing? Come back. Okay, I can work with this. Then I'll just give it some padding. So it's going to look a little bit pleasant. Let's say padding of 10px. Oh god, that's too much. 5px. I'm not satisfied. 2px. All right. So now let me give you border radius. I don't want that old-fashioned sharp edges. Border radius of 5px also. Okay. Yeah, I can work with this. I can do better, but for test purposes, let's use this. I would have loved to continue styling the inputs, but I think I'll just do it. Let me style my inputs. So here, I'm just going to say input, right? I don't want to select a particular one, right? I want this style to apply to all of them. So I will just select my inputs and then give it border none, no border. Let's see. Perfect. And also outline, outline none. Now, if you notice something, let me remove the outline. There is some styles that come with a browser by default, right? Let me just remove the border none too, so I can explain better. Now, these are inputs. This is just the default one, the default input. This is the default style. Now, when I click on it, you can see this black, sorry, blue border, but it's not border, it's an outline, right? Is what the system or the browser uses to, by default, apply a focus effect. Like whenever the user clicks on it, that's the focus effect, if you remember. Whenever I click on it to type something, I'm focused on this input. So it's going to take this blue outline to tell the user that you are focused on this input. But you, as a creative front-end developer, can overwrite it and choose yours. The border, this is the border, right? You can choose to have your own border. You can set it to none. But for me, I will just say border solid, this color here. Yep. Let me choose a lighter color. I can actually do better, but I will just do it. I'm just trying to overwrite all the default styles. Yeah, that's too much. Let me say 5. Yep. Then I can add padding, extra padding to it. 10 px. Oh my god. 5 px. Yep. Then I'll remove the outline. I'll set outlines. I don't want outline at all, right? I still want to put a border when I'm focused. So now for me to do this, I will declare another selector, input, the same input. Then the pseudo class, remember, focused. So this focus pseudo class is the style that's applied whenever the user is focused on that particular um, item or that input here. And let me do focused background. So we can see it at work. Focused background color, red. Now when I go back, if I focus on this one, it's going to change to red. I focus on this too, it's going to change to red. Yes, Connect, ask your question. So let me say,
What is different? Sorry.
yep.
Please, what's the difference between the focus and the active?
The active is, I think the active mostly, that's a great question. I've actually not used active in inputs. The active um, anglers and button. I'm not sure what's for inputs. Well, let me do this actually. Dot active. Well, let me see. I can check and see all the pseudo classes that wait. I think I have an error somewhere. Why is this thing not? Well, let's see other ones that we have. We have after Q. Okay, we have active. What happens on active? Background color blue. Let's see. Oh, okay. Active is when you press on it, right? Sorry. Active is when you press down on it, but when you stop pressing, it's no more active. Yes, of course, that's how button works too. Why did I forget that? Yes. So active is when you press down on it. Like now I'm pressing down, like pressing down on the input. But when I stop pressing, it's no more active. But then focused is as far as your cursor is still on that input, it is focused. That's the difference between focused and active. Thank you for that, Kenneth. I mean, you got the difference now, right?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Nice. I don't need this active. Okay, so I only want to change the border color here. Border color. I want to change border color to the same color that I have in the. Instead of me doing all this copy and paste, right? I can actually have a variable here, then declare the variable and just reuse the variable. That's even the best approach. But because we're not talking about CSS today, oh my, color is too light. But let me reduce the border color then. Okay. I mean, we can see the difference now. There is a dark green color when I'm focused. When I'm focused on there's a dark green color too. So I think I'll just apply that dark green color on the border also for this guy. So this can be 2px. Let's say 3px. Okay, I can work with something like this. Well, I can change the color of the input to the color of the button, sorry. And give it this color. I have used this color many times. I think it's high time I create a variable for it. Okay, make it darker. Okay, I think we can work with something like this, right? Then last but not the least, for the styling, let's do some things on the inputs, on the results, sorry. I can say, here is this result guy. This is the result container, margin top, right? And let me give you background color and say the space that is taken. So I normally do this when I want to debug, right? Let me just comment out this, comment it out. Comment, my brother. Yeah, commented. Now, when I just want to see the space that this particular container is taking. Now, I'm not having an actual picture of what the space is taking up, right? So for me to see that, I can just say background color, red. You can do another thing. You can say border, actually. Now, when I put background, you can say, okay, this is the space this particular result is taking. Now, I want it to take full width. I can say width 100%. Now it is full width. Okay. So at times you might give a style just to get an actual picture of the position that particular element is occupying. Then after I can take out the style. It's not much that all the style you're adding must be used at the long run. You can use them for debugging and helping purposes. And then, well, I'll still leave this here. I'll take it out shortly. Why is this having extra? Oh, okay, there's padding. I want to give you the same padding. Padding of 20px to this guy. Padding of 20px. Okay, but that's too much. Oh my. Okay, let's say 5px and then 10px. Okay, then border radius of 20. Let's say 10px also. Okay, I can work with this. Take out this guy. Then instead, I will just give it a no. Instead, I'll give the content parts, the results parts, the style. So there is an ID of just results. So I can select that also. I said this was supposed to take 5 minutes, but then that's taking more than expected. Background color. Let me just see the space occupying. Oh wow. Oh yes, there is nothing in it. That's why. Let me just add something, a content, so I can have a picture. Okay. All right. Will this work? But it won't work on a span. Yeah, because span is an inline element, so I have to make it block before all these things will take effect. Anyway, I don't think that's a big deal. Let me see. Padding 5px. Okay. Then border radius 5px. This is fine. Then let me change the color to something light. Just not too much. Yeah, I can work with this. Okay, so enough of the CSS, the thing. Oh, this extra space. No problem. All right, now back to JavaScript. So I want to add my numbers, click on add, and then get the results down here. Okay. Now let me do this real quick. This is my event. All right. Where's the button? This is the add button, right? So I have to select this button first. Remember, when I select this button in my event.js, you have constant add button equals to document.get elements by ID add, right? Let me make it button so we can know it's a btn. Back here, put back my btn. All right, nothing will happen. Wait, what happened? Oh, my css btn, no more css. So, and then I've selected the button, and then I want, whenever I click, it should print this information. So I will listen to a click event on the add button variable, right? Add button dot add event listener click. Okay. Now, when I click, I want to get the value from this first input. I also want to get the value from the second input. And for me to do that, I have to listen to that particular element again, those elements. So I will say const num1, that's number one, equals to document dot get elements by ID, that's num1. And when I go back to my input, you can see the input here with ID num1. So I've gotten this element. And then for me to get num2, I'll just do the same thing, but then I'll just give the variable name here to num2. And then num2 equals to get elements by ID num2. All right. So, which is this guy here. The ID is num2. Now, how can I get the values? Right? Because in inputs, there is another attribute called value, right? You can say in this input, you can give another attribute. Remember the placeholder attribute, right? But we're not going to be doing that. You can say value. If I say value here, 10, when I go back, I'm going to see 10 here. Okay, because I set by default the value should be 10. So there is 10. I can put my own, right? So whatever I now edit will not be the new value. So, but if there is no attribute at all, the value is undefined, it's not present till the user start making changes to these inputs. Now let's see if we're going to get it. I want to console log. First is num1. So I want to console log num1 dot value. Why am I not seeing what I'm writing? Yeah. So num1 dot value will give us the value of num1. Then let's say num2. Here is going to be num2. The value will give us the value of num2. Now let's see if that will work. Back to my inspect. I need to increase this size. Okay, this is good. Now let's see if this will work. Back to my console. If I enter 20 here and I enter 30. So when I click, I want to get num1, 20, num2, 30. Now let's click on add. Okay, it's refreshing. If you notice something, it refreshed. I'll do it again. Just pay attention to the screen. 20, 40. It will show it here, but it will clear it because it is refreshing the page. Now, when I click on it again, you see, it showed it and refresh the page and also clear the value. Now, this is the default way a form behaves, right? Whenever you're doing anything, a submit handler or trying to fetch an information by the end of when the user is done filling the form. This is the default way it behaves. So for us to actually use this value and write our own logic with it, right? We need to stop this default value, this default way, this default behavior. And this is how we're going to stop it. So there's what we call an event. Yeah, why am I saying? Yeah, we already know what an event is, right? So we can, from this argument space on that arrow function, this first space here, yeah, inside our curly braces, we can get a particular argument called an event. We can get this particular argument from this click. So we want to Whenever we click on this particular event, this event is listening to a button. Whenever we click on button, it should get all the information of that button, right? Now, when I console log event, now let me just comment out everything here. So we know that I'm expecting to see events when I click. Then this is my console. This event loaded is from this guy up here, so don't make mistake with it. All right, so when I now click my 30 and 30, 40, 445, if I click now, you're going to see it's going to show events. When I click, oh my God. Okay, see what I'm just going to tell us what we're going to do. Then we can now see where we're getting it from. So for us to stop that behavior, we need to say event dot prevent default. Okay, event dot prevent default. Anytime you're doing form handling, if you're handling form, it is best to have this particular expression at the top of that particular block, right? Event dot prevent default. This will prevent that default behavior of refreshing the page whenever you click. All right. Now, if I save, remember I'm expected to see a log of events, right? Now it's not going to refresh. If I type 20, 30, click on add, it didn't refresh, right? We can see that the inputs are still there. Now I can see the information on my log. I'm logging events. So this is the event object. You can get a lot of attributes about this particular button from this event argument, right? So you can see the button, bubbles, cancel, default, blah, there's just a lot of them, right? I think we're going to see the, can see views. There's just a lot of things that you can make use of, right, when you are working with buttons. But most of the times you might not even be using all these things, but it's good to know that you can cache some informations about that particular element from the event argument. So yes, that is that. I've gotten what I needed. So I'll stop console logging this. I'll bring back my DOM information. Now, when I do this, I'm expected to see them here now. 20, 30. Oh, let me just say 30. Now add. You can see num1 is 20. That's that 20 here. Num2 is what? 30. Exactly what we have here. Now I want, when I click on add, it should add the two of them instead of just console logging them out. So what will I now do? Let me just log it out first and see. I want to do num1 dot value, okay, plus num2 dot value, okay. Now when I add these two, I'm expected to see the result. Now if I write 30 and 20, now 30 plus 20 is 50, obviously. So when I add, I'm expected to see 50, but then something will happen. What is that? Let's see. When I click add, I saw 30, 20. Why is this happening? Why is it not adding the numbers? Because it is at the type of string, like it is a string. It is not a number. So instead of adding them mathematically, it is just going to like concatenate them. Remember when I talked about concatenation using the plus sign? This is used when you want to merge two strings together, right? A string and a number and a string, or a string and a string together. You use concatenation just to merge them. But if you want to have the best mathematical experience of this particular symbol, those two items, those two values that you are trying to add must be mathematically, must be a number or value number. Now, for you to know what I'm talking about, there is how to know the really type of this particular value. I can say console log type of. Now, type of is a keyword in JavaScript that will tell you the particular type of a particular variable. right? If I say type of num1 dot value, I am asking JavaScript, please tell me the type of this particular, the data type of this particular value. Okay. Now, when I go back, I'm not expecting to see the string. I just want to see the data type. If I put 20 here, remember, I'm only looking for num1, so there's no need filling num2. Num1 dot value, what's the type? Now, if I click on add, what do you see here? String. The type is what? A string. And when you are adding two strings together, it's not going to add them mathematically, right? Now, how can we convert these numbers from a string to, these particular values from a string to a number? We're going to use what we call pass int. Pass int is like the int there means integer. So pass int is mostly converting any particular expression to a number. So, and it only accepts a string. Okay. Yes, you can use passing for a lot of things, right? But basically, it's just used for converting a string to a number. You're saying pass this particular string to an integer. Int means integer. Integer means numbers, right? We have a lot. We have, when you're talking about numbers, we have a lot of bases. Base 64, base 10, base that. You cannot do that with pass int actually. But now we just need to convert to a number. Now, when I now convert this thing to a number, how can I do that? Is a function. Grab that particular value that I want to convert, that particular string I want to then put the percent before it. Just like this. Write the percent first, sorry. The percent. Then open and close your curved braces, okay? And then you write the string inside. Probably you can say 40. Now, when I console log this, it's going to, this 40 is a string because it started with a quote and ends with a quote. But I want this particular percent to convert to a number. Now, when I console log, it's going to give me still 40, but at the type of a number. Take it out. Or let me comment it out so we can always have this in view. Now, what will happen here? It's going to change to number. If I type anything, add, it's going to change to number. So which means percent does what we want it to do. Now, what can we do now? We'll just say num1, wrap it in a percent. There's no need for this one again. The same thing with num2, wrap it in a percent. Okay. Now, when I click, I'm expected to get the correct mathematical operation between addition between these two numbers. So when I fill 10, 20, I'm expected to get 30, right? 10 plus 20 will give me 30. Now add, I get 30 here. So now, how can I now merge this thing to the result? Let me close this console. I want, when I add, it should show the result here. Now I have to select this particular element again and then modify it, right? Where is that element? It is this. So I can select again, say constant result equals to document.get elements by ID, okay? And that ID is result. Then I have results. Let me just put it first. Constant addition equals to, I believe you understood this part. I am adding these two numbers, percent num the value, num1 the value plus percent num2 the value. Now I will now say results dot inner HTML equals to addition. So I don't need this console anymore. Okay. So now I am saying add these two numbers. When you're done adding it, set inside the inside the result HTML, replace it with what? Whatever you got after adding these two. Now when I go back, if I enter 30 and let me say 30 again. So I'm expected to see 60 here. Now when I add, I can see 60. You can use this to do a lot of operations. Add 50, okay? Change this to 25. 25 plus 20, that's 45. Then to give us 45, right? So yeah, that's mostly how to use event listeners, right? To achieve something, right? And yeah, I don't know if there's any question though. Is there a question? Okay, means we are all following. Okay, so all right, so let's do not only addition, let's do minus. So I'm going to have another button here that says, well, let's just give it the name. It is subtract. And I don't like the fact that I want them to be stuck together. So I will wrap it in a div just to give them a unique. What did I just do? Okay, this is good. Now give this a class of buttons. Buttons. Just buttons, yeah, a class of buttons, that's all. Yep. I can actually do an inline CSS. If you remember, just style, then display, flex. Yep. And then it should be gap 10px. Yeah, this is good. Now add should come before. Okay, now this is now going to be subtract. Subtract btn. Btn is a short for button. Okay, now what? Now I don't like seeing my styles misbehaving. Let me just remove this hash button. It's just giving the styles to only the add button. Yeah, this is good. All right, so let me do the one for subtract. Okay. Now when I will just copy and paste this, right? I will just change. There's nothing. Let me just write it out. Constant subtract button equals document.get element by ID. That's the subtract button string. And then you now say subtract button. Sorry for all this. Subtract button dot add event listener. Click. Then we get that event argument, that props, and we do the basic thing, which is compulsory. We prevent it. Then we wrap all these informations. Let's copy everything here. Paste. But this time around, you're not adding, you are subtracting. There's no need for this anymore. So this is not addition, this is minus. All right. So I just duplicated the same thing, but just change this. There's actually a way to write this thing to like refactor it instead of like having multiple duplicating. You can just write everything once. But we definitely talk about that probably in the next class, or you can try it out. I'll give you a hint. So now when I click add, it should add. When I click subtract, it should subtract. So when I have 40 and 20, so simple, 27, all right, add 67, right, subtract 13, and see what is happening. Adding it gives us 67, subtracting it gives us 13. Now we can actually check for other things, right? Like you can do multiplication, you can do division, you can do modules. There's just a lot of things, right? You can do with the operators. But for this, we'll just have it at this. Then we have the main information that we even want to work with. Remember our contact. We commented it out. With this, with the knowledge of this, you can easily work on contact, right? Like you can, let me bring back this oh, okay. Uncomment it. Okay, what's this? Wait, what? Wait. Oh, okay. From here, I just remove the comments here. Okay. Oh, wow. This looks weird because of the styling. Yep. Okay, so let's see. We've done the results. Comment out results too. All right, there's just a lot of things that's commented out here. Okay, yeah. We have resets, we have submits. Okay, what's the time? Do I have time to style this? No. So just probably when you're doing this, just style it up here. Give it your own styling and then work with it, right? So what I wanted to do is to create a list that's not even a list, a table that contains full name, email address, gender, and then message, right? So that whenever I feed that information, it should go and populate that table. So which means I have to create a table here real quick. So let me check something. I think I have table here already. All right, this is a table. You can use this. I don't want to just create afresh, right? I just want to like, yeah. So now I have a table that has, probably I don't need message. Well, I don't even need all the information in the body anymore. Yeah, I don't need everything in the body. I will add mine. So I can have SN, probably no need for SN. Name, email, gender, okay, and then age. Okay, so can we do this? Probably not gender. Let me just do 3 items: name, email, and age. So I need to take out the message part. I'll just bring it back. What am I even doing? Let's bring the message back. Probably change this to message. I don't want to have too much information, just some things to work with. Name, email, age, message. So I have message, let me just comment out the gender part. I have name, I already have name. That's the name part. I have email. Okay, I need to bring in age real quick. What? So now this is going to be age, that's 4. Age, and the ID also is going to be age. Then the input type should be a text, okay? Then you can say enter your age. Well, since this is age, we can say set the input to be number. We have input type number. I think that's what I should have done to this calculator part instead of just doing percent here. But let's see what happens on this part. Then I don't need this BR. That's what is giving this the weird space. Okay. Oh, this is fine. Well, let me wrap all the divs and elements together. Then this will be his own together. This together. And then my button, I'll just give it the same thing that I gave. Where is this contact? Where is the, oh, I gave it an inline. I've forgotten. So I'll just give it back, Dave, and then move it to his wrapper. Then say class name. No, style. Display flex. Then gap. Then I should have this. Okay, this is not bad. Where's my table? This is my table down here. My table is not even. Don't worry, I'll just do that real quick. Okay, this my message is not taking this style, so I have to like give this inputs. I don't want this style to only apply to inputs. I want it to also apply to text area. Okay, comma text area. So when I go back, yeah, having the same style, which is perfect. And the same thing on the focus. So comma text area, then pseudo class focus. Cool, cool. Then for my table, okay, where's my table? Just copy everything I have here. I don't want to write everything afresh. Then paste it here. That's my table. Okay, my table is, oh my. Let me change the padding to 5px. And that border, where's the border I gave this guy here? Border of the inputs. Where's the input? I should have just given this thing a variable, then just reuse it. Okay, at least we get a message here. So the table should have a padding margin top, sorry, of 20px. All right. Now, my plan is when I enter my full name, enter my email, enter my age, then put a message. If I click on reset, it should reset. But when I click on submit, it should populate this table below. Okay. Now, there is an approach we have to do this with. Let me close everything out. I've gotten what I needed. Okay. So there is an, okay, where are we? Yeah, the events, right? So I want to, when I click, it should do all these things and then, all right. Now, how are we going to do this? Remember the time we have been doing inner HTML and inner text. If you notice something, it's that whenever we use inner HTML or inner text, it replaces the information entirely, right? It replaces the information inside that particular element. Now, if I had a div here that says p tag, I'm a paragraph, whatever, and another p tag, I am italics. What? Let me say m. I am italics. Oh my. Okay. Yes, I am italics, right? Let me put a BR here. Let's have a line break. Now, this is the information. This is the guy here, right? This is this div. If I give it a style of background color real quick to red, just for testing purposes, you can see this is the information here, right? Now, if I change the inner text or the inner HTML, you see it replaces everything. But for this table, if I'm going to add elements to this table, I'm not going to use inner HTML or inner text, because whenever I use inner HTML or inner text, it's going to replace every other information inside the body. But I don't want it that way. I just want it to add a new one. Okay, instead of replacing everything, add a new one. Now, if I say, what's the name of this guy? Let me give it an ID of tests, just tests, right? If I select it from my JavaScript, where is that there again? Documents dot get elements by ID tests. I don't need to listen to any event here. Okay, let me set it to constant tests, just tests, not equals to here. So when I say test dot inner HTML equals to hello world, you see that it's going to replace everything there. Remember, we have an paragraph and italics. Now, when I save, what? What happened? Why is this thing not working? Okay, let me say inner text. Wait, am I making mistake anyway? Tests dot inner, yes. ID tests save. This is closed. Wait, do I have another ID that says test here? Let me say test case. Well, I'm not sure this is the problem, sure. But let's say test case. Test case. Let's say test case. Test case. Test case dot inner HTML. All right. What is happening? All right. Okay, probably let me change this entire thing to a proper HTML syntax. Let's say H1 test case. Go back. Wait, inner HTML. Okay, something is wrong somewhere. All right, but for some reason this is not working. Now this is weird. Okay. Well, let me say P. I am paragraph. Give this P an ID of test case. Comment out this one. Then go back. I am paragraph. Test case is no more even working. What did I do? Let me comment out everything. Wait, something is stopping it from working. What is that? Did I make any mistake somewhere? All right, so I think I have to bring this to the top. Yep. Okay, yeah, it's working. Honestly, I don't know why, but I'll figure it out. When I do, I'll let you know. So bring back this guy. Take this out. Then when I come back, you can see it says test case. But then it still has this one. You see, it's replacing everything. Inside this test case, we still have paragraph, we still have BR, we still have an M tag, that's the italic tag. But it just replaces everything with test case because I set the new inner HTML to this. Right? But I don't want to use this scenario for tables. because I'll just end up replacing the body every time with the new content, right? So now there is what we call comment out this time. I think I might just comment this out, right? Since I'm no more using them, okay? Now there's what we call append child. Append child, okay? Now this append child, just the name, what it was, it's used to append an item or a particular element to an element, to another element, to a parent element, right? It's just like you want to put a child element to this particular parent element. Just keep putting in child elements, keep putting in child elements, right? So with this append, you will not have to overwrite the whole HTML content inside a particular element or even the text. It will just keep putting it under. Now, and with this append, it comes with other, it exposes you to other um, areas of using the document, right? We first of all, we have to create the elements that we want to append. All right. Then after creating the elements you want to append, you can now go ahead and append it. But if you want to put a content inside that element, you then go ahead and create. What is this again? Create. Yeah, append the element to the, yeah. That's the second thing. Append the element to this, to the element, but append the element to the parent. Sorry, to the parent element. But then if you want to put a content inside, you not do inner text or inner HTML because you're not reading this, you are not reading this particular element you created. You're not reading it from HTML. You are creating it inside JavaScript. So you have to create everything that has to do with it. Both the attributes, you have to create it. You have to create a text you're going to add in it. You're going to create just every other thing that comes with it, right? So for that, you have to create, if you want to add text, for text, if you want to put a text or a content inside of it, you have to create a text node. All right, the text node that you want to apply. Now, after doing all these things, you now append this element to the parent. Now, let me do this example. Let me do this real quick for this, right? Remember, it's overwriting everything with test case. So if I comment out this test case, I don't want it anymore. It's going to bring back I am a paragraph, I am italics, right? Which is the default thing that I have on my HTML. But then if I now want to append an element to that particular parent tag, first thing I'm going to do is to create the element. And to create the element, I can say, let's say I want to create a strong element. Let me say strong equals to document.create element, then strong. I think someone raised their hand. Or was that a mistake? Okay. So document.create element strong. This is how to create an element. With this, you have created an element or with the tag name of strong. Okay. This is one. Then if you want to put a text inside this strong, we want to put a text, of course, because we want to see the element in action. And to do that, you have to create, forget about this, you have to say constant. Okay. Let's say text. Text equals to document dot create text node. Okay, you are creating a text node and setting it to what? Test case. So these are two different nodes. The first node is the element itself, that's the opening and closing tag, which is going to be strong. Then the second one is the content. Let me just call this thing content instead. That's the content you have inside that element, right? So after this, you have to still append the two of them together. It's crazy, but when you just keep using it, it will be just more simpler, right? So to do that, you have to say strong dot append child content. That's the first thing you're going to do. First thing is strong, append this content to this strong. So now we have an element. This strong now has this particular test node. Now, after doing all this, you will now finally append it to test case. So you now say, finally, you say test case dot append child strong. So with this, I have created a new element called strong. I have given it a content, which is test case. And then I have merged the content and the strong element together. And now I want to merge that strong element, both the strong element and its content together inside this test case, right? I won't save this yet. You can see that I have a paragraph, italics. So when I'm done, I should see test case here. Okay. Now if I save, come back, you're going to see test case. All right. You can actually say I am strong instead of I am strong. Come back and say I am strong here. So this is how to like add a shard to a particular element without overwriting all the information in that content. But let me test something real quick. I've tried doing this once in a while. So let's say I have this strong dot inner HTML. Let's see. Just for testing purposes. Wait, what? It actually worked. It actually worked. So it means that I've been it's not jargon. I've not been saying jargon, sha, but yeah, you can still use this method to add it, right? But then I think this is even simpler than. But let me just change the information. I am executive. I am executive. Now this is funny. Okay, yeah, you can do that, but I think the very first thing you need to do is to create the element first. Then after creating the element, you can now add an inner HTML to that element. After adding an inner HTML to the element, you then go ahead and do this. Now append the whole strong element to the test case. Well, either of them works, right? But I think I'll just choose the second one, right? But then this one still works. Let me just comment out this. This one still works, okay? There's definitely some complex scenarios where you need to just use this method. But then this is very, very fine. That is that for this. Then real quick, I will have to do this real quick. What's the time? Okay. So I think we still have time. Now, let me add every information and see if I'm going to get it fair. So I don't want to listen to onClick this time around. We have done onClick. Let's try another event. Now, I want to give this. This is already type of submit, remember? So I can give this form an ID. Okay, the form already has an ID. Contact, okay? Form has an ID of contact. So instead of listening to the onClick event of this contact, I will listen to the onSubmit event of this particular form. That's how you're going to be handling forms going forward. OnClick should be probably you don't want that particular button to carry the information, or you're doing a particular OnClick event outside a form. But if you're under a form, inside a form, and you want to access all the informations, put the handler, the event handler or the listener on the form itself. So for us to do this, we're going to say somewhere here, constant contact form. Contact form is document.get elements by what? ID contact. That's this ID contact. Then what event will I listen to? contact form dot add event listener, open and close. What event are you going to listen to? It's not click because it's not a button, it's a form. If I listen to click, it means anywhere I click here now, this is the form here. Anywhere I click, it will just run that stuff, right? But I don't want it to do click, I want it to listen to submit. So whenever I submit a shoe, we have submit actually. See submit here, we have suspend, we have submit. So you can listen to submit and then your arrow function. Okay. So now inside, we want to prevent the default. Remember, you must do this to prevent the default. If not, it's going to refresh the information. So the next thing is to get the full name, right? And we give it ID. That's why we're getting it by ID, right? So we can get other ones. We can get the email. You can get the age. You can get message. All right. Then I want to, whenever I submit, I want to just console log this information and see what I get. So CLG, that's console log. I want to console log. Yeah, I want to console log everything. First, sorry, full is full name. Full name dot value, email dot value, age dot value, and then message dot value. Make sure I'm not making any mistake with spelling, else you just end up getting the wrong information. So when I go back to this, inspect, where's my console? So what's my full name? John Doe, email, tests at this, then age, 90, then message, I am creative. All right. So now when I click on submit, I should get the information. Let me submit. Yeah, you can see everything here. I have John Doe. I have tests at email.com. I have age, which is 90. I have I am creative. And that's how I start everything. So which means I'm successfully getting the information that I wanted. Now I want to add these informations to the table every time the user creates. This is just used to, I want to, if I click on submit, it should populate this table. If I click on submit, it should populate this table, right? Now the table is nothing, there's nothing there. So how are we going to do this? We need to create an element called what? TR. Remember how to write a table. Go back to a table. I didn't like comment out the well, country. Oh no. So you have the table head, that's from here to here, and then you have the table body. Mine, I already have a body. I just want to be adding those TR one by one, okay? The T body is empty for my own table. It's just the header information. So how can I write it? Remember, you're going to create an element with, sorry, comment out this guy, constant, table row is equals to document.create element tr, because table rows are tr, right? So it has created an element for me, tr. So I want to like append this information down there. And for T-body, it is TD instead of TH, right? So I'm going to have TD according to the columns that I have it. Then let me go back. So I can now say table row dot inner HTML equals to, I'm going to open and close the string. That's this table row that I created. Okay. No. Yes. Okay. I just created a table row. I'm trying to add these informations in it. Where is my, who's this guy? TD. Table row. So I'm just going to add everything here. Just copy. Then paste. Okay, let's see if with template ref is going to work. Okay, now you can see what I did here. I had a string before, but I want to be able to see what I'm like writing. But when I paste it out, I want it to still look like, the normal indentation in HTML. Just choose an arrow. So for you to avoid this, you can actually use the template literal symbol. That's the backtick. And I've told us where to get the backtick. The key before the number rows. So I can paste it out here. Let me indent it well. All right. So I'm now adding, okay, this is already a TR. There's no need adding TR back. So let me just remove the TR. So I'm only adding these informations, but it's not going to be TH, it's going to be TD. I'll just select all of them and change it to TD, just like the way the body is. In the body, we have TR, then we have TD. But I don't need to have TR already. I've already created my TR. So I'm just adding these details inside my TR. That's the table row. Now, the first thing is the name. Okay. What am I going to do? Remember how to write template literals. First of all, $sign, then open and close the curved braces. Okay. And then paste whatever you want to paste inside, the value you want to paste inside, the variable actually. Then you have full name dot value. That's this full name here dot value. I'll do the same thing for email. $sign, open and close, email dot value. I'll just preview every other one. All right. So just the way it is in our contacts, name, email, age, message. Name, that's the full name dot value, email dot value, age dot value, message dot value. So I've successfully created a TR. Now I want to add this TR to my T body anytime I click. So for my T body, let me just give it an ID of table body. Okay. Give it an ID of table body. Go back to my JavaScript. I will select this first. Let me call it here. I can say constant table body is going to be equals to table body is going to be document.get element by ID, which is table body. That's what we have here. Now, by the end of everything, I will now append it, right? So I'll now say table body dot appendChild table row. Okay, table body, then append. In fact, let me just bring it down here. So since this is where I started using it. Okay, the attendance. Oh, it hasn't been dropped. All right, give me a minute. Let me reach Alex real quick. All right. I have requested for it. So let's exercise patience. Why? I think it should be dropped here soon. Okay. If we are still on the same page, please indicate. Only two people. Okay. Thank you. All right. So I believe we understood everything we did at this point. Now let's go and see if what we did actually worked, right? Thank you, Benchak. Now, when I enter name, sorry, so let me even use Benchak since it just popped up. Benchak. And then, wait, am I spelling this right? Yeah. Then let's say the Benchak's email is benchak@mail.com. And Benchak is, see the advantage using the inputs with type number. So whenever you say type number to a particular input, you will get this extra up and down arrow. You can use it to select a number. When you click up, it's going to be adding number. When you click down, it's going to be reducing the number. You can have negative actually. So let's say Benchak is 20 and Benchak message is yes. Benchak replied yes. Now when I submit this information, I want to see them under this table. Now, fingers crossed. Click. We have Benchak name, email benchak@mail.com, age 20, message yes. So it's working. Yee. Now let's try more. Let's try more. Let's say Eshevik. Then Eshe dot Vic 20. I am here. Okay. Now when I add, instead of replacing everything, I want it to just add Eshevik here. So when I click, you see it didn't replace everything, it added Eshevik. We have now Eshevik, email, age, I'm here. So with this, you can, try out other things, right? Let's say there's just one more test. Okay. Um, okay, present. Okay, now when I add, I should see Christos. Exactly, Christos, the email 25 present. So with this, you can, play around, adding to a table, removing. So you can actually go ahead and do removing to a table self. Yes, it is adding it because it is appending this. It is not replacing. If I had replaced the inner HTML of the body, it's not be adding to just replacing the next one I add instead of just adding them. But because I used append, it is just appending those informations to the body. Now, when I inspect this, inspect the table. This is my table. This is the table body. You can see I have 3 table bodies, 1, 2, and 3. The first one is Benchak's information. Second one is Eshevik. Third one is Christos. But you can see that. And I actually don't have any of this information in the HTML. I just use the JavaScript to manipulate this. So any question? No question. The attendance hasn't been dropped. All right. While we wait for the attendance, okay, let me just, any question here, please? Feel free, ask me your questions. No question? Cool. Okay. All right. Nafisa.
Good evening. Please, I
Okay.
want to ask for this this table that you added dot value, what if we put it inside, maybe when you added this cons, for instance, cons name equal to document dot get element by id dot value, without
Yes, you can
putting it here? Will it work?
yeah, it will. It will. I just wanted to like
Okay.
simplify. I wanted to like put it in a form that okay, this is where I'm getting the elements and this is how I'm getting the value. But you can still go ahead and end it with dot value for each
Dot
of
value.
them.
Okay.
Yeah, because since we
Okay.
only need the value here, you can end all of them with dot value. Also here,
Okay.
dot value. But when you do this, you don't need this dot value here anymore. The ones here.
Yes.
So
Okay.
you just take them out.
Just
So with this, it still works.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Nice question, actually. Okay, nothing else, right? No other question. And what if you want the value to be attached to an XML sheet? Uh, um, well, don't worry, we'll talk about that in the next class. You are bringing a programming language that we have not even talked about. XML is actually the another version of HTML, but not really HTML. So don't worry, we'll get to that point. Okay, yeah, real quick, one more topic before we call it a day. There is, since we are good on this, let's talk about arrays. Okay, we have already talked about array. We have done array already, yeah, but there are other methods that we have not mentioned. We have actually done array.length. We have done array dot we have done array, we have done length, we have done how to get a particular index of an array starting from 0 to wherever the array ended, right? We did pop, thank you. Also, pop is to remove the last element from an array. There's also push. Push is to add a particular element. Oh, sorry, particular items, not elements. Sorry that I'm saying it. We also have a push. We have pop. We have push. There's actually a lot. There is pop, push, shift, unshift, slice, splice, sort, and reverse. Reverse is mostly going to reverse the array. Sort is going to sort that particular array according to order, whether it is from ascending order or from descending order. So if you want to sort particular elements or items in an array, you can use sort. We have splice to like get a particular range of an array. Same thing with slice, but I'm not sure splice is that. Yeah, but they still do similarly the same thing, but a little bit different. So there's unshift, there's shift, there's push, and there's pop. So I would like us all to go research on this method. There's other method actually. There's reduce. There's join. Thank you. There's even reduce. There's reduce. There's just a lot of them, right? So just research on them. All these ones here, research on them, see the use case, and probably have it in mind that okay, you can actually do something like this with an array using this particular method. Probably not have it know it at a go, but when you practice with it, it will assimilate. But what I really wanted to talk about is loop. After this, we'll call it a day. Loop. So what is loop? Yeah, JavaScript loop. Well, it's a for loop actually. Yeah, we have other loop methods. We have for loop. Yeah, we have wait, sorry, let me just I need to give you the definition first. Loops can execute a block of code a number of times, right? You want to run a code multiple times, just doing the same thing, but just changing the value. Yeah. You want this code to run. Let's say you have a function I want this function to run for so amount of time. Let's say for like 5 times. I want this function to run for 5 times. But for each time it runs, change the value. Just do the same calculation, but just change the value. So with loop, you can achieve something like that. Okay. So I'm reading this out from somewhere. Loops are in handy if you want to run the same code over and over again, each time with a different value. Okay. Often this is the case when working with arrays. You can use loop for every other data types, right? But most of the times when you're using it, it's mostly for, you know, running some operations on array. And how many loops do we have? We have a lot of them. Let me just paste this thing here. My bad. All right, so these are the different kind of loop. Okay, we have for loop, run through a block of code a number of times. We have for in loops, loops through the properties of an object. Okay, that's for in. Then for off, loops through the values of an iterable object. Okay, then while loop, loops through a block of code while a specified condition is true. This is more like saying why this is this, do this. Okay, and it comes in handy with do and why. Okay, also loops through a block of code why a specific condition is true. While it is true, while this particular condition is satisfied, do this, right? Else do that. So you can use while loop to achieve that. But for today, I will just quickly address the for loop. That's the basic one I think you should understand. And to write a for loop, you are going to, this is how to write it. For, sorry, I'm coming. Yeah. For, I'm going to comment this out. I thought this is frozen. Now, for loop is a function, just the way you write a function. You first of all start with the for keyword, for, then open and close your curved braces, and then your curly braces. That's where you're going to execute the code. Okay. Then in this argument space, you have 3 expressions or 3 arguments that you must satisfy. All right. Sorry. The first expression is, we have expression. Okay, we have, let me just say, let me just write it out. XP means expression. Expression 1, expression 2, and then expression 3. You must have 3 expressions. All right. So what is expression 1? Expression 1 is is executed one time before the execution of the code block. This is just like initializing the default or the first value before the loop even starts. Okay. The second expression is the condition of that particular for loop. The condition means I want this for loop to continue running till after a particular amount of time. That's the condition. Okay. The condition is when it is up to 5, stop running. That's the condition. That's the second expression. Then the third expression is the incrementation, right? It is how often, like what are you adding or are you minusing? Like how do you want this particular loop to go? Do you want it to go upwards or downwards, right? If you want it to go upwards, you use, yeah, exactly, incrementation or decrementation. So it's either you are increasing this particular loop from 0 to 5, or you are decreasing this particular loop from 5 to 0. So when it's from 0 to 5, it is incrementation, which is plus plus. When it is decrementation, it is minus minus. Now, how do we write a for loop? I've already showed us a snippet of how it looks, right? So this is open and close, then my curly braces, that's where my code is going to be. Then the first expression, I will say That's the initialization. Let any particular element, sorry, any particular variable name, you can give it here. But most of the times, you just end up using just one letter. You can say I, you can say B, you can say C, anything at all. Just something that represents the number that is going to start from. And you want this particular loop to start from 0. Okay? Sorry. You need to end each expression with semicolon. So this is the first expression, the initialization. I've initialized my index. It's going to start from 0. Put your semicolon. The second expression is how long do you want this particular, that's the condition, how you want this particular loop to run for. And I want it to run for so and so amount of time. Okay? I want it to say, if as far as I is less than 5, continue running. Okay? This is my IO. Remember, if I gave it A here, I'm going to give it A. If I give it B here, I'm going to say B here, right? So as far as my I is less than 5, continue running. Then end it with semicolon. Then the incrementation, I want it to increment, right? First, so I'm going to say I plus plus. So it's going to say I is 0, and as far as I is less than 5, continue. Then after that, I plus plus. I plus plus means I plus 1. Okay? Now, there's something I didn't mention earlier. Let me just do it real quick. There is, if I say const 20, in fact, if I even say console log 20 plus plus, 20 plus plus will give me what? 21. Because plus plus means just add plus 1 to that particular number. So when I save, wait, what? Comment all this. Where's this error coming from? Oh, I have not added it. Sorry. Okay. SRC. No, it's not function. It is arrays. Exactly. So I don't need anything from events anymore. So events can wait. Then when I go back, left-hand side expression in postfix. What is that? Okay. There's an error somewhere. I think I need to declare this first. Am I even getting this? CLG loaded. Comment out this line first. Let's see where it. Oh, okay. I think this line is what has it. What did I write? So that line is buggy. Let's do something. Const number num equals to 20. Then when I say num plus plus, will I still get an error? No error. Okay, num plus plus will give us 20. Oh, I need to give it a let, right? Let num equals to 20, then num plus plus should be 21. What is happening? Okay, let me assign it to something else. Const. Oh, okay. Let me say num plus plus here. Then I'll just console log only num. Okay, let's see what I get. Yeah, 21. It happens. So I declared my num, that's my number, which is 20. And after I added plus 1. This is just like saying num equals to num plus 1. Okay, you can either write it this way, or you can say num plus plus. This is only plus 1. Or there's another way actually. Num plus equals 1. Have this in mind. I'll talk about it more. This particular one is possible. Now, remember, see what is going to happen here. I'm going to get like 23. Why? Because this place I added 1, so it's 21 at this point. Here again, I added another 1, so it's 22 here. Here again, I added another 1, so it's going to be 23. So when we check, we're going to get 23. So, but what I wanted to clarify is this particular one, right? So you can do non plus plus, just like +1. So yeah, that is that. And you can actually do minus minus. Minus minus is -1, just the opposite. So, okay, yeah, I think I got. So currently the criteria for attendance have changed. It is now based on those that attended the class. Once you join the class at a particular point in time, it's going to collate the assignments. Sorry, collate the attendance. So it is also good you stay through the class so that you don't miss the time that the attendance is being collated. So currently, as far as you are on the class and you have been to this point, your attendance has been uh, marked or taken down. So that's it for the attendance for those asking about it. Yeah, Eshevik.
Sorry, my question is, if that's the method of taking attendance, how do they get to know people and their names? Because like the name you are saying right there, that's Esevik, that's not my name in full. So how would they know my name in full?
But you still have a Eshevik included in your registration name, right?
Just my email,
Okay.
not the name, just the email.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's a great. Okay. Yeah. Good point. Yeah, because some people might use another name to join. True. All right. Don't worry, we'll validate that. Don't worry, we'll validate that. We'll validate that from one way or the other. Then if it gets troubling, if there's any attendance that we couldn't track the person in particular, definitely communicate. But currently that's the criteria. But what is your name in full then? The one you use for registration.
Victoria.
Oh, okay. The Vic is for Victoria. All right. Noted. Thanks for bringing that up. Emmanuel Morris.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Okay, so earlier I was using my laptop for the call, but my laptop went off, so I switched to my phone. But the email I logged in now is different from the one I used to register for the call.
Okay.
I don't know.
Emmanuel
The email
Morris.
is,
Sorry?
so the email is different. The one I used to register for the course is different from the one I'm using to log into the meeting right now.
But your name still remain Emmanuel Morris, right? On the registration.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll definitely validate that too. No worries. We are just checking. We are taking both your name and your email. So if there is any mismatch, we will communicate.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. So Elizabeth, I don't know if she's on the call still. She said her battery is low. All right. If not, I'll ensure that. No, if you are here at this point, don't worry. I'll validate your attendance. I'll still check the form and validate it. So if you can spare me 2 more minutes, I should wrap the class up. Thank you. All right, so let's do this. Let's I. Remember, I'm working with I all through. The first expression has I in it. This is where I'm initializing it. The second expression has I in it, right? I've already initializing it, so I'm using it to make my condition. The condition is as far as it's less than 5, continue running. Then the last expression is I plus plus. So after every count, it's going to add +1 to I. Okay, it's going to add +1 to I. It's going to add +1 to I. Continue adding +1. And immediately it notices the condition is satisfied. Like immediately I is equals to or greater than 5. This whole logic will stop because the condition is no more being met. It is now more than 5. and we want this condition to remain as far as it's less than 5. Now let's do the basic console log first, right? So if I console log I, let me just put a text to it. Let me say executed. Okay, let me say executed, then comma I. So I want to see how many times this is going to execute. Where's my log? This is my log, right? So my log is open. Where is this coming from? I don't need 20 anymore. I believe we understood this part, so I'll just comment it out. Console log executed. Now I'm going to see it continued running till it got to the point where the condition is no more being met. Okay, we have executed 0, executed 1, executed 2, executed 3, executed 4. So yeah, this is how to run a particular block of code for a number of times with a particular condition. Now, if I increase this, if I say less than or equals to, so it means I still want it to run when it is 5. But when it's now past 5, it should stop. Remember when we did less than or equals to, right? So you can see we will now have the 5th item. If I save, you can see I now have the 5th execution. So it's executed how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, starting from 0. So just added 1. After the first one, added 1, which is now 1. Added another 1, 2. Added another 1, 3. Added another 1, 4. Added another 1, 5. So yeah, that is how to use for loop. It's not much going to start from 0. You can start from any number you want it to start from. You can even start from 3. And this 3 is going to run only 2 times or 3 times, right? Till it gets to 5. Start from 3, you can see 3, 4, and 5. And then that's all. Okay, so that is that. Sorry, in the next class, I will discuss this more. And we are also going to moving into using frameworks soon. Okay. We have just been doing the HTML, the CSS, JavaScript, the basics, right? But in our next class, sometime in our next class, we are going to start using HTML frameworks, and we'll be working around using JavaScript extensions. That's JSX. Thank you, Miriam. And also using frameworks like React, and then just build some things with it. And don't worry, along the line, we are still going to be referencing some other JavaScript that we need to know to do some particular things. And yeah, that's that for today. If you have any question, this is the time to ask. And Mary Godwin, please, the class for today is too long. Just saying, this is because it drained some of our phones and those phones went off. Should we say they didn't attend the class? Okay. Good point, Mary Godwin. And I think the last time I checked the class today, we were 28. All right. So if at some point when I validate the attendance and it's not up to 28, don't worry, we'll figure it out. Probably this is the first time we are taking this approach, right? So we'll observe all the potential errors if there's any, and then make a proper change to it. So it's going to favor everyone. If there is no question, Israel.
Well done, Mr. John.
Thank you, Israel.
I couldn't submit my assignments. I was battling with it today. So I was battling with it. By the time I saw that time has gone, I tried submitting and the network was not cooperating. So I want to ask, is there any chance for me? Although I've sent it to you to private chatted you with it.
Okay. All right. No problem. Let me see. He sent me a DM on. Okay. I have the DM from Jairus. I have the DM from Israel. Okay. Jairus, send the file, please, not the, send the file, okay? Yeah, okay, Israel, don't worry. If you had any issues submitting your assignment now, please speak. We Israel, don't worry, I've taken notes of yours. But please
Okay.
communicate early. All right, just communicate early. I'm taking this because you're in the call and you stayed up to this point. So
Okay, thank you, sir.
yes, correct, Miriam. I think if we don't take long, we won't be able to cover a lot in programming. I thought it is true. It is true. But even no matter how long we take in the class, we'll still not be able to cover every topic. So no matter how long we take, you personally still need to take longer. If the class lasted for 2 hours, on your private time, find time, spend more than what we spent in this class. Because I'm even trying my possible best to explain it. Like I'm trying to explain each topic as if I'm explaining to a 5-year-old, right? But then I was trying to pass every message possible across. So which means you might even need extra time that we spent on the call to cover up. But it's good point actually that you made. It's fine. The recording will be made available tomorrow or next. But whenever it's available, just stay tuned on the Slack channel. You'll get